It's a celebration of livability and sustainability and city life and health and transportation equity, and all those things are so far advanced by this non-motorized transportation pilot program. With the $22 million that we are investing in our communities, we will have 90 miles of additional bikeways and sidewalks, and many innovative programs. So the Nice Ride bikes, some of you will be on today, and we have a new University of Minnesota bike station. We have a bike library program through Sibley Bike Depot, and there are some projects through St. Paul Smart Trips, and we also have Bike Walk ambassadors. Many other things. Those are some of the highlights of the investments made possible through this program. So we have so much to celebrate in terms of the champions here with us today. I'm going to introduce a city leader, St. Paul Mayor Chris Coleman, for his leadership as a bike walk and transit advocate. And we also have Hennepin County Commissioner Peter McLaughlin, a regional champion of bicycling, walking, and transit. And most renowned this morning, we are very pleased to have Representative Jim Oberstar, Chairman of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee in the House. Absolutely, absolutely. A national leader in every regard, an unfailing champion of all the things that all of us here care about, all the ways of moving our city forward with transportation, innovation, and livability, sustainability, and all the wonderful things that we are here celebrating today. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to them. At the conclusion of that, bicyclists will be ready to roll, and St. Paul Council Member Russ Stark will be launching the ride down the Marshall Avenue Bikeway, and the tour will also be hitting some of the wonderful new projects in Minneapolis as well. So, Mayor Coleman.
It's just what an amazing day, beautiful weather. Who would have thought that we would have had such a nice day in the middle of October to go on this tour. It's going to be really fun to see some of the new additions to the infrastructure that we have for bicycles. The latest link that was a critical link to the between Minneapolis and St. Paul down Marshall Avenue is a really nice connection. I think it's one of the reasons why we continue to be one of the most one of the best bicycle communities in the entire United States of America. We have 10% of the people in Minneapolis that are commuting to work every day on their bicycles. Not quite as high of a percentage in St. Paul, but we're going to get there. This last link is going to be a critical piece to that, and we're going to continue to push to be part of the of this incredible system that's been developed. I understand there were over 100,000 rides this year on the bike program, the Nice Ride program in the city of Minneapolis. So I know that if we can link that into the city of St. Paul, we're going to double that number, and it's just going to continue to grow. So we're very excited about this, but it only happens because, first of all, we have a community that demands it, and we have incredible leadership that supports it. I've been talking over the last couple of days about the importance of these elections nationally, and I don't want to make it political. But I can't think of anything that would be a greater shame if the House of Representatives was to flip than to have Jim Oberstar no longer be the chairman of the Transportation Committee, because he has used that to promote all modes of transportation, from light rail to high-speed rail, and important connections with bicycles and pathways, et cetera, et cetera. It has been just an incredible partnership. We have been very blessed. The $22 million that our community has received to expand our programs was really not possible but for Jim Oberstar's leadership. Peter McLaughlin, same thing. Russ Stark on the City Council, same thing. Just incredible partners that have been moving our community forward. So I've been blessed to be a part of that. I'm anxious to ride today. Let's have a wonderful, wonderful ride. Be safe, and we'll, you diehards that commute in the winter, I'll see you next spring. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I'm glad to be in St. Paul. It's great to be here today. And I have to tell you, I just came back from Portland, Oregon, and I was pretty pleased to be able to be representing the #1 biking city in America, which has just displaced Portland. So we're #1 in America, and we're proud of it. And we're going to reach across the river. We're going to take a ride across the river today, and we're going to make this region the greatest bicycling region in the country. You know, this movement This movement is a grassroots up movement. We had people saying, we can do this differently. It's not just about building more freeways. It's about giving people opportunities. It's about giving people good, high-quality opportunities for riding the bus, for taking a light rail vehicle, for taking a commuter rail vehicle, or for riding a bicycle. And bicycling has become an important part of our transportation infrastructure. It's not just for weekends, it's for every day of the week. And in this, even except for Mayor Coleman and a few others, it's actually many days of the year, all days of the year, if you want to do it that way. I quit when it gets 10 above zero. I'm sorry, I have to say. But it's not an accident. It's because we've been intentional about it. We've had a grassroots movement, and you're part of that movement across the nation, and we've had great leadership in Washington from Congressman Oberstar. He believes in creating systems. He put the language in for the state bike coordinators. He created the national structure that we can now operate in and that we provide funding for, the federal government provides funding for, and that's what we're trying to do here. Build high-quality options so people will actually choose to ride, and people are choosing to ride. So we should be proud. When people look back at the history of the United States and transportation in the United States of America, when they look at this era, they're going to say, this is when they got back to bicycles, this is when they invested in a new way of moving, a new way of living, and you're all part of it, and I'm proud to be part of it as well. I want to give, when Congressman Oberstar comes up, I'm going to give him this T-shirt. It's from Railvolution. And Railvolution, I was out in Portland this year. That's the grassroots advocates. They have the more people there than at any time in the history of this meeting. And these are the folks who are talking about rail, bikes, PEDs, and making it all work together in community. So it's my honor to present to Congressman Oberstar this T-shirt commemorating Railvolution and his role in creating a true Railvolution in the United States of America. Thank you very much.
All right, let's see. There we go. Yeah, it's a good.
There we go. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's so appropriate to have that presentation from Mr. Rails, Peter McLaughlin. He's supported light rail, commuter rail, intercity passenger rail, high-speed rail. He's the man. And Mayor Coleman, at my invitation after the House passed the authorization of Amtrak, the first in 12 years after the other preceding management let it all go by the wayside and try to bankrupt Amtrak. And we came in 2008, and actually in 2007, we passed the bill. Well, it took till the next year to get it signed to establish national corridors for Amtrak, including the Midwest High-Speed Rail Initiative. That actually was an idea of Rudy Perpich, if you go back far enough. And I asked Mayor Coleman if he'd come to Chicago, meet with Mayor Daley and Governor Doyle and other Midwest authorities. Since we didn't have a state representative here, our voice for the state of Minnesota was interested to do that, I asked Mayor Coleman, and he came. And we met in Mayor Daley's office and said, you're going to launch, and they did, launch the Midwest High-Speed Rail Initiative. Of course, unfortunately, Minnesota was the only state that didn't have a statewide rail plan. But thanks to Chris Coleman and Peter McLaughlin, they made it happen through MnDOT. And there are some folks that I want to signal out, and Marianne Fowler with Rails to Trails. Marianne, thank you for coming out here to the Great Midwest. Marianne is the advocate nationally for Rails to Trails. And during a very dark moment when the chairman of the Transportation Appropriations Subcommittee proposed to eliminate funding for enhancements, Marianne Fowler traveled the country, mobilized people. We got Lance Armstrong's mother involved in doing a letter-writing campaign to key members of the House, and we prevailed, and thank you, Marianne, you did that job. We got 300-some votes to replace the funds. And Stephanie Manning, who is standing right next to her, Stephanie is a former member of our committee staff. She did all our safety work, especially on on reducing size of trucks or preventing them from getting bigger, and represented Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and made a huge contribution to our work in the current transportation law on .08 and seatbelt safety and all the rest. Stephanie, thank you for coming out for this. Louis, raise your hand. Raise your bike. There you are. All right. He's got a new bike. He left Congress after Martin Sabo retired and spent all of his life savings into this brand new bike. It's terrific. But he has kept alive the name of Major Taylor, one of the greatest stories in bicycling, and one of the tragedies of our history of discrimination. Major Taylor could have been a Tour de France champion at the turn of the 20th century, 1907, 1908. Louis has founded the Major Taylor Riding Club and kept that legacy alive. Thank you very much and from the heart for what you do, Louis. Now it's really significant that he's here, because I asked Martin Sabo when he was on the Transportation Appropriations Subcommittee if he'd join our bicycling caucus, and Martin said sure, so long as I don't have to ride a bike. He said I'll get Louis to do that for me, and he's been doing it ever since. And Betty McCollum, who, of course, Keith Ellison from Minneapolis, and Betty McCollum, who's now on the Appropriations Committee, has been a great champion for us and a strong advocate for all that we do in the bicycling arena. And thank you for being out in Portland at the Railvolution. I was in Portland just a few weeks ago for a Safe Routes to School initiative, where they have a wonderful program that has really engaged all the elementary schools in Portland. And they took a child's bicycle and painted it gold and awarded each month to the school that has the greatest number of riders riding to school that month. So I said, this is like the maillot jaune in the Tour de France. Now you have the le vélo jaune, le vélo d'or, the gold bicycle, as an award. And I sat with the kids on the yellow bike and clustered around. It was a great feeling. It's just wonderful to see the enthusiasm in the Safe Routes to School initiative. And here in St. Paul, which was one of the first in the whole country, and was certainly the first in the state of Minnesota to embrace Safe Routes to School. What you're engaged in here in Transit for Livable Communities is living up to everything that I expected it would accomplish, and more. And great new initiatives, including the bikes that you see. You can't miss them. My goodness, I love that. It's a little bit heavier than my Trek Madone. You really need leg power to pedal that. But on the other hand, it's not going to be demolished on the roads. You won't get a flat on it, I don't think, and it'll get you wherever you need to go. Washington, D.C. has this program. Chicago has this initiative. Several cities in the United States. Paris, Hamburg in Germany. The image I have was on a city street in Paris, where one of their vélo de ville, their city bikes, one of these type rentals, with this rider was waiting for the light to change right next to a Lamborghini. Isn't that the perfect image? This is the way to get around on your rental bike. But it is, what this means is that bicycling has come full circle. At the turn of the 19th century, in 1894, there were more bicyclists in America than citizens in the state of Minnesota. And those bicyclists got up a petition to the U.S. Congress. They got 150,000 signatures on a big roll of paper and put it on one of those telephone cables, those big cable drums. Put that on a railroad car and pulled it into Union Station in Washington. And then they got a
horse-drawn carriage to haul it up to Capitol Hill and rolled it into the Appropriations Committee meeting room, asking for an appropriation of $10,000 to study and to plan the development of a system of paved roadways for the newfangled horseless carriages that were using the bike trails, causing ruts and causing cyclists to have face plants, as they called them, or headers. Congress appropriated the funds. In 1896, the study was completed and recommended establishment of a bureau of the government to oversee the paved roadways for the horseless carriages. It was called the Bureau of Road Inquiry. It was lodged in the Department of Agriculture. Today, it later became the Bureau of Public Roads, and today it's the Federal Highway Administration. So that was 1894, 96. So in 1991, nearly 100 years later, we're doing the first post-interstate highway legislation, Intermodal Surface Transportation Efficiency Act. That was where I included the funding for bicycling, and as Peter said, established a national bike coordinator, state bike coordinator, requirement of a state bicycling plan. I said it was time that the automobile returned the favor to the bicycle. And the progress we've made since then, $3.5 billion in federal funds invested in building 40,000 lane miles of bicycling facilities across the country, 10,000 some bus bike lanes across the nation. And last year, more bicycles were sold in the United States than automobiles. 12 million bicycles, 9 million cars. We're converting now to the bicycle being a mode of transportation. And that is the goal. It's wonderful for recreation, it's wonderful for racing, for a whole host of other, but to use it daily. 60% of all trips in an urban area are under 3 miles. You can do those 3 miles on a bicycle. They do it in the Netherlands. 30% of all trips for all purposes in the Netherlands are by bicycle. 48% in Münster, Germany, city of size of St. Paul, 250,000. 48% of all trips for all purposes are by bicycle. In Denmark, Copenhagen, 38% of all trips for all purposes are by bicycle. It's the headquarters of the biggest pharmaceutical in the world, Novo Nordisk. The CEO rides to work on a bike. His briefcase goes in his limousine, but that's all right. So we're making that transition. You're part of this transformation of the future of America. And in the Surface Transportation Bill of the Future that we reported from our subcommittee of my full committee last year, we make a number of changes in the non-motorized transportation initiative to exempt those non-construction activities from the burdensome paperwork of Title 23 U.S. Code. So that we can we'll be able to smooth these projects and move them out faster and have a better and earlier result. We're on track. We're making changes. You're making changes. You're making the difference. And you're part of converting America from the hydrocarbon society to the carbohydrate society for the future. Thank you for being here.
It's a tough set of acts to follow, so I'm gonna keep it fairly brief here. I do want to mention, though, that we really wouldn't be here at all today if it wasn't for the leadership of Congressman Oberstar on this program, on this issue for the last several decades, but in particular recently with the Non-Motorized Transportation Program. It was all about his leadership in Congress. Thank you very much. But I want to add that the rest of you who are here are the bigger reason why this has been successful. These projects are the culmination of a lot of work at the grassroots level. People in St. Paul and across the country are demanding these kinds of better facilities, safer facilities for biking and walking, and it's it's our job just to follow, and hopefully we're getting better at doing that. I had the opportunity to be out in Portland with Commissioner McLaughlin, and one of the things that they're touting out there with regard to their successes with bicycling is that it's not just sort of the transportation benefits and the environmental benefits and the health benefits. The bicycle industry in Portland today claims over 1,000 jobs in that city and a significant part of their regional economy. Like the streetcar industry out there is a huge part of the local economy, where they're actually building streetcars for the first time in a long time in the United States. And I think that's part of the story that doesn't get told quite so often, but new modes of transportation, the new economy, are really going to help guide us in the 21st century to a new successful way of living. So real quick, for today's ride, this project on Marshall that we're gonna see here in a moment is all about improving safety and desirability of these bike routes and walking routes. Unfortunately for today, this project is still under construction, so we're all gonna have to take the full lane of traffic going down the hill on Marshall. So just be aware that we're doing that. And actually, one of the features of the project is a sign that's going to be on westbound Marshall that says bicycles have full use of the right lane, which is actually just reaffirming what's already the case everywhere. If there's not space for you and a car to safely interact in a lane, you always have the ability to take that lane. Some of the other features of the project are the new sidewalk along the north side of Marshall. Some of you may have heard about that. We've got countdown timers at the intersection. We'll see those. They're up and running, or at least up, at Marshall and Otis. New medians that you'll see, planted medians that are looking great, street trees, and a bike lane that is not yet there that will be going up the hill eastbound. So a great new project, one of many that's been part of this great program. So just when we're out there, we're going to be following the rules of the road. We're going to be waving to people and giving them a pleasant experience about being around cyclists. And have fun out there, and let's get moving. Thank you so much for being here.